I am particularly honored to introduce our speaker for the day. Our speaker today is Meredith Page. Meredith is a recent graduate from George Washington University, where she majored in English and where she was distinguished as the Honored Poet of 2006. Last April, she was selected to be one of the monitors and counselors for the March of the Living. If you notice particular pride in my voice, there's a reason for it. Meredith is my niece.
So I'm here to talk to you about March of the Living. It is a 2-week program for youth from all over the world. There are 7,000 participants, including high school students from countless countries, counselors and facilitators, and Holocaust survivors. We spend a week in Poland, going to the various concentration camps, museums, important memorials, and then we go to Israel for a week. The highlight of this trip is on Yom HaShoah, when all 7,000 participants march from Auschwitz to Birkenau. We exit the gates of Auschwitz and walk through the gates of Birkenau. It's about a 3-kilometer walk. And we spend the day in Birkenau touring and listening to speakers from all over the world. The march itself is a day-long process. There's the opportunity to meet kids from all over the world, and one of my favorite parts of the trip was that even though a lot of people didn't speak the same languages, the way that everybody communicated was through their Judaism. We had all grown up singing the same songs, going to the same services every Shabbat, celebrating the same holidays, dancing the same dances at summer camp. And there was a profound feeling that this was the future of the Jewish religion, that even though the youth was there, only 17, 18 years old, you could see the future of the Jewish people. In Israel, we went to Independence Hall. We learned about how Israel was created. We went to Masada, we went to the Dead Sea, we went to Jerusalem. We did many days of community service, picking fruit and spending time with children in special ed schools. And I have to say, though, that I think the most important and formative part of this journey that we had was that there were Holocaust survivors there to experience it with us. And throughout our travels on the bus rides and the various concentration camps and the different towns that we toured through, we were able to walk with people that had been there and that had lived through it, and that is an invaluable experience for every person that goes on the trip. I know that it changed the lives of every single student, every single staff member. I was really lucky to be able to do it this year while living in Santa Barbara, because I was able to access the Portraits of Survival Gallery at the same time that I was preparing for March of the Living and decompressing for March of the Living. And the Portraits of Survival Gallery is such an important thing for the Jewish community and for the community in general in Santa Barbara, because it allows youth to see the stories, to see how hatred begins and what it can spiral into. So this is my slideshow presentation of photographs, and I hope that you enjoy it, and thank you for having me here today.
when you were on the bunk in there, where were you and who was giving the talk?
That was in Birkenau. It was after the march. It was later on in the day, and that is Sidonia Lax, a survivor of Auschwitz, and she was able to tell us her story standing in front of the bunk that she slept in while she was there.
Were among the kids who were there, were they obviously moved by this experience?
Absolutely, yes. Yes. It was interesting to see the survivors bringing comfort to the students on this trip. It was beautiful, yeah.
What nationalities were there with the students?
There was a West Coast delegation from the United States, an East Coast delegation from the United States, but there were delegations from across the globe, from Somalia, from Panama, Mexico, France, Spain, New Zealand, and Australia. I mean, anywhere you could imagine, there were delegations.
Was there much interaction with the Polish community?
Our group met with a group of Polish Catholic high school students. There was one afternoon that we spent with them in a forest outside of Akbask, where there was a Jewish cemetery that had been left for about 60 years after it had been vandalized by any number of people. And most of these kids had never seen a Jew before in their lives, and so it was a very interesting afternoon watching these kids interact. A couple of the Polish boys brought guitars and they were singing Beatles songs with the kids from LA.
Was there one experience that the students found most impactful?
There was, and I think that this was really impactful for everybody on the trip. There was a day that we walked to a mass grave in a forest, and it was a mass grave of children. And there aren't words to describe that experience, but it was a very hard day for everybody.
Any other questions?
Could you show it again and tell about every picture went by so fast and it was so pretty, so nice.
We'll do it again. Another time. We'll do it again. Thank you.
Thank you.